Hi everyone, my name is Sammy. Just want to give you a bit of context to this video. So a number of years ago I made the sound bank Altitude for Spire, did very well. People have been asking me since to create a video tutorial on how I made some of those sounds in there. Now because I made the bank so long ago, I'm sort of refreshing myself as I go through the sounds and rediscovering them. So the video is a little more loosely organized than usual. But I wanted to just get it done because people have been asking for it for a while and I keep promising to do it. And lastly, if you do enjoy the video and find it useful, there's actually more content available to my Patreon supporters. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to support the channel. Interesting. So this one has a lot of emphasis on the long evolving character that basically you hold down a note. Now it's, I guess, a little subtle, but I try to design pads like that to swell at the beginning and make an entrance, and then fade down just a little bit. Keep moving so they don't sound static, but not so much that they grab your attention. So if a pad sound, I think, becomes too static, it starts to draw attention to itself. It sounds like something stuck. If it's doing too much stuff, it's also drawing attention to itself. So I designed some of these pads to come in, make it a little bit of an entrance, and then just fall back a little bit, so that you can start to bring in other elements. Then of course you tweak these with volume and filters and things like that as you like to make them work in the mix. But I try to build that in anyway. So let's get started on this one with the effects again. This one has a lot of reverb on it this time. Let's turn that off. Gotta hand it to them. That reverb is really, really good. It actually has a character all of its own that makes Spire, that gives Spire kind of a unique sound in your mix. I mean, I've picked apart the sounds of some really good sound designers, and despite what people say, they all make heavy use of effects and reverb, and it can really make a sound. And on some synths, like you take the plate reverb in Diva, or the plate reverb here in Spire, they're really quite special. They deserve to be used. So anyway, let's get back to the program here. Let's mute the reverb for now. Take a look at the EQ. Some pretty heavy boost on the low end there. You can hear that in these low notes. A little bit of X comp. Give it that edge. I was super into really deep low bass on pads. I made this bank. Let's take a look. No delay. Quite a bit of chorus. Let's turn that off. You can hear the two-stage phaser again. Just giving it a really nice flange effect. So I almost remember trying to get a flanger effect on this. You know, it's actually in plugins, it's kind of hard to get a really good through zero flange. And the through zero is when it kind of just disappears, it fades out. It's that old tape flange effect. Anyway, let's go back to our project. So let's take a listen to what we've got here. Let's take off the high pass filter and the low pass. There's that very powerful top end again. So I've just got this taken out a bit of the low end, which is funny because I've got it boosted down here, but I think there is some method to the madness. First of all, you can modulate this easier, but secondly, I've got a bit of resonance here, so maybe I was just trying to fine-tune the low end. Yeah, and what I'm doing is creating a sort of peak at this frequency. You can hear it. So it sounds like deep bass more than it really is deep bass. The idea is just to help it mix easier. Also, if you listen to a lot of really good music, electronic music, not everything is like blowing out your speakers with sub information. It actually sounds really nice when everything's kind of pushed up a little bit higher. Speakers breathe easier, they sound louder, punchier. So that's what I was doing here, and then a lot of resonance on the filter. And then let's take a look at the oscillators. So oscillator 3, let's take a listen to that actually. This is a more mellowed out version of a saw wave here, because I'm mixing in the sine with the saw. This is more to provide the sort of beef of the low end, and then it's being modulated too, if you listen. And that's this right here on pitch. And let's see if there's anything else going on here. Yeah, so we got modulation here, the pitch. That can't be right though, because it's oscillator 3. There it is. So a really tiny amount. But it's very fast. Just to give it a bit more texture. Let's take a listen to oscillator 2. This is low end noise. So anyway, there's the low end noise with some resonance. Not enough to make it whistle, but enough to give it a bit of emphasis. And I wanted to keep it low, sort of like a rumble. Yeah, that's too much. I'll bring it down. And then finally, what's this? Pulse width modulation. So this is oscillator 1. Here's control B, so that's pulse width modulation there. This is pretty fast again. So a little weird. Let's see if we turn that down. This is probably how I would have done it now. I think that would have sounded better. So there's chorus and phaser again. Now let's take a listen to the whole thing. Let's go to Storm. So obviously this waveform's doing a lot of work here on the filter. Let's turn all the effects off. if I was doing this now, I'd probably try to do it on the volume as well. And on the panning. So, like this. But that's now. I guess at the time I was quite satisfied just doing it with the cutoff. An important part of this one is that it's in mono. If it was polyphonic, well, it would work quite well, but it's cleaner in mono, because in mono, you only ever have one LFO doing all the modulation. If you do it in a polyphonic LFO, every voice that's triggered has its own LFO with its own phase, so the modulation is kind of going to be all over the place in terms of time. Sounds pretty good, but it's very busy. I'll turn the amp up here. And there's mono. So it's a much stronger effect when it's pronounced and focused with just one LFO. Anyway, yeah, so this sound has just a low pass filter here being modulated. Let's see what else we got. Anything else going on? Nope, nice and basic. And then we've got here, let's take a listen. Oh, a bit of noise. Okay. Here we are. Just to add a little bit of texture there. It's mostly just this right here. Which is again just a detuned saw. Not wide. But like this. So I think this probably would have worked a little bit better if maybe I did give this some width. It's really a matter of preference. Notice this one has an emphasis here on the mid-range, so not too much going on here. But it's a nice moving pad. A lot of movement. Alright, Stratosphere. This is probably one of my favorites. There are those really low notes. There's your mod wheel. So this one, lots of reverb. And that's it as far as effects. Nice long tail here on the release. And this is just oscillator 1 with some sawtooths, again with a low pass filter, and lots of boost. Oh, actually lots of cut. And lots of cut there on the low end. And then the X comp again. Bit of modulation on the filter to open it up. Very little, if anything else. Let's see, oscillator. That's interesting. The source is oscillator 1 modulating its own detune. It's pretty cool. Some of my favorite sounds in this are actually these. Actually, no, these, the atmospheres. So we'll check those out in a minute. I think we're done with this one. Pretty straightforward. Let's do a little bit of phaser. Maybe this one can do 3 stages. Sounds nice. I forgot how nice Spire can be. It's very strong. A lot of it's the X comp. Alright, so below 0. Definitely going for those old rumplers like the JV 1080 and so on from Roland. That kind of sound, those workstation sounds with the wavetables. So all 4 filters used here. Let's first go and turn off the reverb. Vowel. So that's where it gets its vocal-like quality from. Yeah. Then there's a lot of high pass here. And band pass. I guess I figured that was too heavy. Put that band pass back in. Yeah, it gives a bit more atmosphere there. Look at the EQ here. Cut off a lot of the high end. With a lot of Q too, so making quite a big resonance boost there. All for the drama on this sound. So let's just take these off. Go back to the basic sounds I used here. So this one was another 5th. A vocal wavetable. Alright, that's all that does. 2 voices, so it's wide. Noise. Good old noise. This is the main part of this, I think. So if we turn these back on, it still sounds very much intact with just this. This is the sort of heart of the sound. Then we got the noise. Now that noise adds sort of creepy quality to it. That extra movement. Then there's this vocal, which gives it that sort of like Tibetan monk sound. You know, looking back now, I probably would modulate this a little bit because it's a little bit static. That's better. Let's see what the other vocal ones sound like. One's a bit more like an organ. It's a bit synthetic. Good, good. It's very similar to the one I had. I think it's just one. Yeah. Okay. Whatever, that one's good. And then the last one is just this again. I don't know if I'd have this on here now. I can see why it's in there, but I'd probably turn it down if I did keep it. But I'd actually rather not have it. It's giving me Halo vibes there. Anyway, very long attack on this. It's got to have that creepy quality. But in the higher octaves, it sounds a little bit ethereal and holy. And in the lower octaves, creepy. So there's a bit of resonance bump on this. I think it's too much there in the EQ. But I think that's just the side effect of playing this kind of sound up very high. It's meant to be played really low.